Hey everyone, Paul here, Project You Are Another Me, January 9th, Saturday. Let's get started here. We have kind of a two-part lesson, two-part assignment, all right? So, I pulled up some definitions through Webster's New Universal Unabridged Dictionary. I pulled up three that are going to play a role in today's assignment. And the reason being is because these are kind of the preliminaries, the foundational support to unlearning what we've learned, as I said a few days ago, and ultimately into taking that journey into the self. Okay, so you've kind of the last 40 some odd days we've kind of dwelled on the surface, on the reflective world, on understanding how you behave to certain things, and I brought up some things that in relation to what we're going to discuss today. But with that said, these preliminaries are going to be the foundation to really delving deeper and deeper into this journey of the self, okay? So that we're not attaching both emotionally, psychologically, and mentally to things that aren't us or aren't the absolute version of ourselves, okay? So the first one we have here, I made some notes on my phone, condition. The definition for condition in psychology is to cause to respond in a certain way to a certain stimulus, to develop a reflex or behavior pattern. Okay? Conditioned, on the other hand, is in philosophy or metaphysics that which depends upon or is determined by something else, opposed to the absolute. All right, keep those two words in mind. The third one, egocentric. Dwelling upon oneself or upon one's own personal interest, almost to the exclusion of everything else, viewing everything in relation to oneself, being self-centered. We've all heard that, right? In philosophy, existing only as conceived in the individual mind. So, the reason why I brought both psychology and philosophy is because a lot of this journey kind of we want to be able to understand the basis and kind of like the foreground of what it means to interact with our environment, and a lot of it comes from learned behavior, and some of it comes from again, that being kind of the egocentricity of oneself and then existing only in our mind. Now you throughout history, in philosophy and rhetoric, you have the argument of almost both, but we want to be able to merge those for this reason here. So at least for this project and this thing, because again, these preliminaries are very important, not just for the 365 days of the self-awareness and discipline, but for the entire project, because with the path of building self-sustainability, building a better human being for you and for other people, and the betterment of the world, we have to kind of detach from some of the external conditions and not search for those external conditions and behaviors anymore. It's more, again, internal. But when we're going internal, there's a whole nother process going on in here, and overall that we have to, again, unlearn, like I said a few days ago, to delve deeper into who we are. Okay, so again, I'm gonna, in some sort of sense, I'm gonna take you into your deep subconscious here, right? I'm not gonna hypnotize you guys or anything, but just kind of on the surface. By the way, hypnotherapy, if you ever come across it, if you ever research it, anything audio based, it is very powerful. So with these definitions, conditioned, and egocentricity, we kind of look back at look at society and then general mass public and everything and everyone we've ever known, and what is the one thing, right, that we kind of can all corroborate and kind of prove that the children, and this includes us obviously because we were children at some point, and now we're just the developed product of a child, but children are children are taught everything, right? They are taught everything, what to think, what to feel, what everything means, how to behave, how to react to life. And you know, it's not just simply by parents. It's parents, it's teachers, it's coaches, it's everyone. Now, when you have good role models and good external factors like good teachers, good parents, you're teaching your children how to behave properly. And I'm sure we're teaching our children what to think and what to feel in more of and how to react to life in more of a positive growth sense, as opposed to a fixed mindset. And there's a good book that I brought up in conversation in December. If you remember that video, it was by Carol Dweck. It's called Mindset, and I know this is very important because this right here is crucial to building that self-sustainability community and that self-sustained human being for you now. That, you know, maybe we have to unlearn some bad behaviors, and for our future children, you know, even if they are, you know, teenage years or later on in life, there's still some we can kind of do some intervention, you can call it. So now, because children are taught all that, you know, we want to be able to nurture and foster a mindset of growth, you know, of taking on challenges and you know, and the mistakes and the failures, learning from those, not in the way that we've heard it from the mass public bias, but more in the sense of, you know, something bad happens, and it's not necessarily that it's bad. It's an opportunity to learn and challenge yourself, and, you know, and have that growth mindset to say, you know, why am I wasting my time trying to validate who I am when I could be using that time to get better, to working on myself, right? And unfortunately, we see that a lot with a lot of the media and what it talks about and what we look to turn to, you know, not just the materialism behind it, but, you know, the behaviors we adapt because of music, because of film, because of education, and, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So with that said, you know, with you know, us doing that to children, we were also done that to ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that we all grew up a terrible human being or anything like that, but there's a lot of reason as to why we react to life sometimes negatively, when we could have easily had a growth mindset and reacted to it positively, taking on a challenge and succeeding through every single moment of taking on an obstacle, as opposed to, you know, what the mindset and Carol Dweck, you know, psychology professor, says. You know, if we have a fixed mindset, we feel like we're inherently innately born either talented or not. If you're talented, great. You know, your entire life's set out for you, colleges, Harvard, everything, whatever you want to call it. You know, but if you're not, then hey, well, you know, tough luck, right? And this is what we want to kind of get away from, because it's so valuable. It's such a valuable information, not just for us to unlearn and relearn, but for our children going forward, especially us young parents. I'm not there yet, but you know, for us young parents and even older parents who themselves have kids or are now having kids, you know, we want to be able to at least, you know, almost, you know, we all kind of crave that reset button, because, you know, we look at life and everything's kind of it's a mess, honestly, and we want a reset button, but that reset button could just be simply our shift and change. It's a new paradigm that we come to understand, not understand, but to take on, to shift into. The new paradigm is to build that self-sustainability through having a growth mindset for, not just again for us, but for our children, for people around us, etc. So now, you know, and that's part of being conditioned and being conditioned. Okay, because at the same time, if we're conditioned with a fixed mindset that, you know, well, you know, I didn't have all opportunities, I didn't grow up in you know, the best neighborhoods or the best of civilization countries, blah blah blah. The fixed mindset will keep you there. You know, if we're the type to live off the system, it's going to keep you living off the system. We're the type to feel like the world's against us. You know, that the good life belongs to those who were born into good settings, and we're going to be the same. And that's not the case. Having a growth mindset allows us to be beat the odds in that environment, and and all that comes from conditioning. So although we were conditioned to some extent through our parents and their parents, we want to be able to shift that so that we condition our children the most proper with a growth, mindset, and being able to just put in the hard work, put in all those hours of practice, put in all that knowledge and research and education to build a better person for whatever it might be, better education, better jobs, etc., or just a better human being in general. Now, so the two-part assignment here for today is what we want to do is first notice some of the ways you've been conditioned and react to life, whether it be a blessing or a challenge. Secondly, be aware of some of the ways conditioning results in egocentricity. So, example, you're at the grocery store and you're in a hurry, so naturally our conditioning, the way we've kind of built ourselves or someone else has built us, we suddenly feel internally that we shouldn't have to wait for slow people. All right? I'm sure we've all felt that to some extent. All right? So just really think about these two things today: ways that you've been conditioned to react to life. Looking back at the past and some of the things that maybe how you reacted to the situation, whether it be, it always goes back to the love, wealth, health, and happiness in those four pillars. How have you reacted to each and certain one? How have you reacted to a relationship that maybe wasn't the way you really now understand you shouldn't have reacted, but something that maybe you saw growing up because of parents and people around you? How have you reacted to the oldest obstacle and how to manage your money? How did you react to that? How did you react to your health? Is it because your family is always, let's say for example, always eating fast food, always eating unhealthy, and now you've been conditioned to do the same because you don't know otherwise? Well, again, with this journey, that's really really important and delving deep into all that. Okay, your overall happiness, that's a big one, but it's touchy because if the people around you inherently have been unhappy, there's always a reason outside of what we may see, but that conditioning of the anger and the anxiety and the jealousy and all of that, it kind of gets built into you. And now more than ever, research has been done on how our genes even respond to the environment, and our genes will reflect that. So all that is tied in, guys. It's no more that there's a science, there's a religion, there's a spirituality. No, it's all, and this is a new paradigm of, like I mentioned in 2016, that it's coming to fruition, that it's all inherently the same thing. There is no separation between any of them. Science, religion, spirituality, it's all corroborating what it knows best, and what some of these guys, Plato, Socrates, have always discussed. Descartes, and there's always been different views, but ultimately it's all coming to kind of full circle, and all roads lead back to home. Okay, so now the question is, how are we going to move forward from this? How are we going to build a better civilization? No more I'm USA American, I'm Iranian, I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican. We're all human beings. At the end of the day, we're all just human beings with the exact same limbs for the most part, the same composition, but it's what environment are we putting ourselves into to build a more self-sustainable person in a self-sustainable community for the betterment of the future, which are our children. Okay, again, thanks for listening. This is a very lengthy one, and it's a two-part. Drop me a question, drop me comments, drop me some constructive criticism. I'm always trying to grow from these, so I definitely welcome your feedback. Okay. Other than that, just remember, health is wealth. Health always starts as a state of mind. Thank you, guys.